Hello guys, welcome to the Elrasted channel to discuss and explain the exciting storyline of your favorite series, SwallowedStar episode 214. In the previous episode, Luofeng was gearing up to head to the deadly battlefield of the original star. To buff himself up, he traveled across the universe to the Flame God race's territory to grab the Force Armor from his sneaky senior brother, the Flame Emperor. Even though the Flame Emperor tried to secretly trap him by locking down the space and leaking his coordinates to overlords from other races, Luofeng used his wits to outsmart them all with his Mosha clone. Eventually, Luofeng safely arrived at the border of the Flame Emperor's core territory and blatantly challenged him to hand over the legendary armor. So, will Luofeng actually get his hands on it? Alright, without further ado, let's dive straight into the story. As soon as Luofeng entered the palace, flames suddenly engulfed the entire area. In an instant, the space and time around him shifted, and he found himself standing in a grand hall, facing a giant figure sitting on a throne. That figure was the Flame Emperor, radiating a super thick aura of arrogance and natural haughtiness that emanated straight from his soul. Seeing Luofeng arrive, he greeted him with a tone that sounded like he cared but was actually super condescending and full of cunning. Even though it was painfully obvious that the Flame Emperor had activated the space lock on purpose, he made up an excuse that it was for the safety of his race. Well, he totally thought Luofeng was an idiot, guys. It was clear from the previous incident that it was all a setup to block Luofeng. This time Luofeng didn't beat around the bush. He directly demanded the Force Armor that their teacher had ordered to be given to him. Since the rightful owner had arrived, his second senior brother couldn't dodge with excuses anymore. The Flame Emperor pulled out the Force Armor and admitted that their teacher did indeed want him to keep it safe for Luofeng, and of course, he would obey the order. But the moment Luofeng reached out to grab the armor, the Flame Emperor activated his mental pressure, forcing Luofeng to his knees. Luofeng was absolutely furious at his senior for trying to defy their teacher's orders. But the Flame Emperor had a reason. He argued that if such an incredibly precious item like the Force Armor was used by Luofeng, who was still only at the Invincible King level, it wouldn't be able to unleash its true power. He even claimed he was worried that if the armor fell into the hands of another race, he wouldn't be able to take responsibility for failing their teacher's task. While keeping up the mental pressure, the Flame Emperor also unleashed his Law Domain to test if Luofeng's divine power was strong enough to snatch the armor from his hands to his own effort. However, he totally underestimated Luofeng's ironclad willpower, which was already on par with the Universe Overlord mentally. So, this kind of pressure and Law Domain was completely useless against him. The tension hit its peak as Luofeng relentlessly demanded the Flame Emperor hand over the armor. Hearing that, the Flame Emperor immediately tried to dodge the issue again, arguing that Luofeng was simply too weak to control such a powerful treasure. Using safety as an excuse, he refused to hand it over, claiming it was for Luofeng's own good since his power wasn't up to par yet. Seeing that the argument was going nowhere, Luofeng made a reckless move. He threatened to leave and report this whole mess straight to their teacher. This bluff proved to be highly effective. Even though Luofeng couldn't break through the Flame Emperor's Law Domain, the Flame Emperor had no idea that Luofeng had sneakily managed to place a life mark on the Force Armor. In a flash, Luofeng was able to touch the armor right in the Flame Emperor's hands, and he instantly absorbed its essence right in front of him. The Flame Emperor was totally caught off guard, never expecting to be fooled by Luofeng's trick. After merging with the Force Armor, Luofeng immediately left the Flame Emperor's palace, throwing a mocking thank you to his senior on his way out. In the end, the Flame Emperor realized he had underestimated Luofeng, who actually possessed both the strength and the cunning plans to pull this off. But beyond all that, he was really curious about how Luofeng's upcoming journey on the original star would turn out. Would it go as smoothly as Luofeng hoped? Somewhere else in space, a phenomenon occurred as a golden portal suddenly appeared. Not far from it, Universe Venerables and even Universe Masters were already on standby, ready to enter the golden portal, which was confirmed to be the gateway to the original star. Shortly after, the golden light shined upon the warriors, and all of them from various races simultaneously entered different portals. You could see the Flame Emperor joining in, along with Venerable Ninesword and Guiyi, and finally, that hammer-wielding warrior from the prison race stepping into the original star as well. On the flip side, Luofeng finally arrived at the original star using the ancient boat Galaxy, exactly 100 years after the star had opened. On his monitor, he received intel from the Hungmeng Alliance that many powerful Venerables had successfully secured treasures on the original star. Plus, just like in the extraterritorial battlefield, there would always be conflicts and massacres between different races. But this wasn't at the Immortal level anymore. It was Universe Venerable level and above, making it the absolute most dangerous battle zone. It was known that various peak races were trying to gather thousands of Universe Venerable level warriors to spread across all 10,081 stars of the original star. And on every single star, there was bound to be a vortex passage, meaning every original star was definitely interconnected. So trying to avoid getting your treasures snatched was going to be super tough, because powerful warriors could drop in at any given moment from other original stars. Babata then chimed in, explaining that someone could easily handle this issue with a treasure like the Shiwu wings. However, King Barkmir's previous antics meant that if Luofeng appeared as a human in the original star area, he would definitely be treated like a walking treasure vault. But don't worry, guys. Luofeng had a clever trick up his sleeve. He decided to use both his remote ocean clone and his golden-horned beast body at the same time to explore the original star. This time, he was going undercover as a member of the Space Beast Alliance, with the remote ocean body playing the role of a slave to the golden-horned behemoth. After transferring the force armor to the golden-horned beast, Luofeng dived straight into the vortex passage. As soon as the vortex sucked him in, Luofeng experienced the terrifying pressure of the original star. Even after setting foot there, he felt a gravity and pressure way heavier than any normal star. In this place, the spatial law ripples were completely frozen solid, so the God Country transportation technique was a no-go. Even worse, when Luofeng tried to boost his flying speed, he was forced to burn his divine power. Strangely enough, as Luofeng explored the area, he couldn't find a single trace of any battles. But it didn't take long for him to stumble upon his first conflict. He spotted 5 Universe Venerables from the Demon Race and the 9 Territory Alliance fighting over something. Luofeng's arrival in his Space Beast form immediately alerted the fighters and onlookers from various alliances. This time, Luofeng got his answer as to why he didn't see any battle scars earlier. It turned out all the plants and soil destroyed in fights here could magically repair themselves. Here, Luofeng was wondering why he hadn't seen any Universe Overlords or Universe Masters fighting yet. Babata explained that she figured it was because no truly precious treasures had spawned yet. So, all the major powers from every race on the original star were making their moves super cautiously. Ever since the original star opened, every race had been secretly gathering their forces to launch a massive strike the moment a top-tier treasure appeared. Not long after, Luofeng felt a super strong and unique energy aura suddenly spreading all the way to where he was. Based on his experience, he instantly realized this wasn't just any regular treasure. It was a true treasure, or at least a high-level treasure set, and it was spawning really close to his current location. Without wasting a single second, Luofeng enthusiastically bolted toward the source of the aura. But he wasn't alone in this big hunt. Several other groups of fighters had detected the exact same signal. Besides the human race, there were also folks from the Northern Territorial Alliance, 3 warriors from the prison race, with bodies covered in golden flames, and a few other groups of Universe Venerables, all converging from different directions toward the energy's center point. Upon arriving at a swamp, Luofeng found a black sword hilt stuck in the ground, radiating a golden aura which he confirmed to be a true treasure. When he touched the sword, he realized it hadn't fully been born yet since it was still fused with the swamp, meaning he had to hold his ground there until the spawning process was complete. This time, Luofeng was forced to camp out and wait until the sword was entirely free from the dirt so he could take it. However, a warrior from the prison race showed up and swung his flaming hammer right at Luofeng. But it turned out the attack wasn't actually meant to hit him. It was just a bluff to order Luofeng to back off immediately. After getting a good look at this prison race warrior, Luofeng felt the physical appearance was somewhat familiar. In fact, one of Huiyanbo's servants, Bokado, was from the prison race. But the power level was a whole different story, because the three prison race figures standing in front of him right now were almost on par with Venerable Shihuo. And the reason they intentionally didn't attack Luofeng directly earlier was out of respect for the Space Beast Alliance's neutrality. But if the Golden Horn Beast in front of them dared to lay a finger on that sword treasure, they'd have no choice but to fight to the death. Luofeng, confronted by these giant figures attempting to intimidate him, was determined not to lose in a size contest against the prison race. Using his remote ocean body, Luofeng threatened them right back by maxing out the remote ocean's size. Before, Luofeng looked like an ant to them, but now, it was the prison race looking like ants. This remote ocean body is seriously insane, guys. The prison race, who were initially dominating the scene, were now acting with extreme caution. Their plan this time was to separate the remote ocean body from the golden horned beast so they could take them down one by one. The first strike kicked off with a clash between two of the prison race warriors and the remote ocean in a fierce fistfight. When the two prison race guys unleashed a combo attack, the remote ocean simply absorbed it right into the sealed star. A vicious counterattack followed, with a barrage of punches accompanied by the appearance of sealed star spheres crashing down like meteors. The remote ocean's assault instantly shattered one of the opponent's defenses. But the other opponent, who was still standing, countered with his axe, and that strike instantly chopped off both of the remote ocean's hands. Meanwhile, the leader of the prison race team was going face to face with the golden horned beast, and it was clear the beast's physical strength was dominating. However, by burning his divine power, the prison race leader managed to fight back, grabbing the beast's tail and throwing it with all his might. The Golden Horn Beast immediately countered by activating the Golden Thread Aurora Mirror. In a flash, a 60 million square mile area around the swamp was trapped inside a super strong golden light domain, severely suppressing the enemy's movements with insane resistance. Ultimately, the opponents were pushed back one by one. Even though their opponent had a domain-type treasure, which is a powerful artifact that can create a specific area of influence or control, the prison race wasn't about to throw in the towel. The three of them burned their divine power and triggered a combo that created a deadly ultimate attack aimed right at the golden horned beast. The strike was so devastating that, logically, it could obliterate a star, forming a lethal black sphere from their three combined attacks. Over on Luofeng's side, the remote ocean body activated the third technique of the 10,000 star sermon map, Meteor Pierces the Sky. As for the golden horned beast, with a twisting motion of the Shiwu wings on its back, it triggered a technique from the Bright Moon policy, Milky Way across the sky. When these two superpowered attacks collided, the entire surrounding area was completely trashed. In the end, out of that massive clash, it was Luofeng's attack that came out on top, sending the three prison race warriors flying backward. After that epic clash, the three prison race warriors realized their opponent hadn't taken a single scratch. They had sacrificed a ton of their divine power for absolutely nothing, as their enemy seemed to still be at 100%. Well, obviously, that's all thanks to the remote ocean body guys. Feeling that his enemy's strength was heavily depleted and the sword was about to be fully born, Luofeng knew that as long as he could hold out, victory was right in front of him. But then, two new groups showed up with the exact same goal. The Hongming Alliance with 2 Venerables and the Northern Territory Alliance with 3 Venerables. Their arrival made the atmosphere even more tense, as there were now 8 Venerables in total, all gunning for the Black Sword. Luofeng realized that his undercover identity as a Space Beast Alliance member meant that the team from the Hongming Alliance, which was actually his own alliance, viewed him as an enemy that needed to be eliminated to get the treasure. The final seconds before the Black Sword's birth felt agonizingly slow to Luofeng, who was starting to get anxious about the sheer number of enemies surrounding him. He knew he just had to hang on a little bit longer until the sword fully breached the surface of the swamp water so he could claim it. Despite being encircled by powerful fighters, Luofeng firmly positioned both of his bodies directly above the sword, ready to risk it all to protect the treasure that was on the verge of spawning. Seeing their window of opportunity closing, the 8 Venerables from the different alliances finally decided to attack all at once. Facing this mass assault, the golden-horned beast pulled a drastic move by spreading its golden wings until they stretched over 100,000 miles wide. Those giant wings covered the entire area around the Black Sword like an impenetrable protective dome, forcing anyone who wanted the sword to destroy the wings first. The combined assault from the 8 Venerables generated an explosive force equivalent to the strike of a Universe Overlord. But the combination of the Shiwul wings and the force armor kept the golden-horned beast standing tall like an unshakable mountain. The attackers were absolutely dumbfounded by Luofeng's completely unreasonable defense, as their deadly strikes couldn't even leave a scratch or budge the protective wings covering the treasure. Right as the enemy attack died down, the Black Sword finally emerged completely from the bottom of the swamp and floated in midair. Wasting no time, Luofeng immediately channeled his divine power into the sword to carve his consciousness mark into it. With one swift move, the ownership recognition process was complete, and the Black Sword officially belonged to Luofeng. But the 8 Venerables launched yet another attack. However, before their strikes could even land, the Black Sword's aura combined with a flap of the Shiwul wings and instantly sent the enemies flying backward. Realizing the treasure was now legally Luofeng's, the 8 Venerables from the various alliances finally chose to retreat, feeling deeply disappointed. They knew that with the golden-horned beast's body size reaching 6,000 miles, it was downright impossible to kill him before their own divine power was completely drained. Luofeng seized the moment to quickly shrink his body and speed away from the swamp, leaving the newcomers biting their nails as they watched the treasure get snatched away. However, behind Luofeng's escape, a massive secret started to unravel thanks to the sharp observation of one of the Venerables from the Northern Territory Alliance. One of the leading Venerables realized that the Black Sword Luofeng snagged wasn't just some ordinary treasure, but actually a component of the Sword River Luo. Since Venerable Baihe had a clone stationed right in the core territory of the Northern Territory Alliance, he was ordered to report this to the Alliance leaders so they could hunt down the Space Beast Alliance member who took off with the treasure. So, will Luofeng be able to escape the encirclement of the various alliances gunning for him? Then what happened next? Okay, thank you for watching until the end, and don't forget to support this channel with likes, subscribe, and comments. That's all from me. Bye.